Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of the other Psalms, the Psalms that were written by Moses, Solomon, Ethan, Heman, and the sons of Korah. And we're looking at that second Psalm that is attached to Solomon's name today, and that's Psalm 127, another Psalm we know very well. Psalm 127, it is a song of ascents, a song of Solomon. We need to talk about what the Psalms of Ascents are. They begin in Psalm 120 and they go on through Psalm 134. So we have 14 Psalms of Ascent, which is two sevens. That's probably a significant number. And the Psalms of Ascent are traditionally associated with the journey people took to Jerusalem for the feast days, particularly the Passover. In other words, these are the songs that they would sing on the journey. And maybe even they are the songs that would be started at a certain point so that by the time they get to the gates of Jerusalem, we read the psalm that says, "Gates open up the gates that the king can come in Psalm 100, in Psalm 133. Psalm, excuse me. But anyway, um, um, that's what these psalms are. These psalms of ascent. Um, they are the songs that they would sing on the journey, and they're called ascent because Jerusalem's up on a hill. They'd be climbing the hill. Psalm 127 is one of those, and that's an interesting study, and we did look at them as songs of ascent earlier. So we have looked at this earlier and talked about the way it fit. There are a lot of things that go into preparing yourself to praise. And in fact, this year in the Sunday morning sermons, we're going to look again at the Psalms of Ascent and look at them in this way. But Psalm 127, um, it's in two parts. And so many commentators say, well, it's like two songs stuck together. It's like a medley. But it's not that. I don't see it that way at all. I see it as clearly a unified theme. It's not a very long psalm, 5 verses, and kind of ironic or cool that Solomon is the one who wrote it. Psalm 127. Unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it. Unless the Lord guards the city, the watchman keeps awake in vain. It is vain for you to rise up early, to retire late, to eat the bread of painful labors, for he gives to his beloved even in his sleep. Behold, children are a gift of the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior, so are the children of one's youth. How blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. They shall not be ashamed when they speak with their enemies in the gate. Um, the first two verses are give us a general. It's proverbial. Solomon is much better known for writing proverbs than writing psalms. And then that long meditation on the purpose of life, which we call the Song of Solomon. Um, so we shouldn't be surprised that this sounds proverbial because it is, and it is a wisdom psalm as well as being a song of ascent. And it begins in verses 1 and 2 by saying, if God is not part of your building of anything, it's not going to last. It doesn't matter how early you get up or how late you work or how much effort you put into it or how much sweat equity is involved. It doesn't matter. None of those things matter if God is not part of it and if God hasn't established it himself. And that's just a general truth that we need to remember for any endeavor, any endeavor. But his topic isn't any endeavor. It's about the family. And the family comes, the house is the family. And the family comes before the nation, before the city and before the nation. And 300 or 400 years after Solomon wrote this, Confucius would write something very similar about how the nation is dependent upon the province is dependent upon the area, the city, the village, the home. That the home is everything is built upon a firm foundation of individual families, and individual families are built upon a firm foundation from God. That's the topic of the second verse of this psalm, 3 through 5. Children are a gift from Yahweh. And we have Yahweh mentioned as Yahweh. This is not Adonai, Lord. This is Yahweh's name. And in verse 1 twice, and then here in verse 3, at the beginning of both of the hymn verses of this psalm. Children are a gift of Yahweh. The fruit of the womb is a reward. Children are God's before they are ours. And when they are given to us, they are given to us from God in trust. They are given to us having been His first. And He's going to say that at the end of Ecclesiastes. When we die, the spirit returns to God who gave it. This knowledge that we pre-exist our earthly existence and we survive our earthly existence, and God is there at both ends, and and um, and so that's the first thing. And then he describes children as arrows in the hands of a warrior, and so we have this understanding that the true achievement that any person can have and and any man can have. And I think it's directed at men because, you know, um, maybe victory on the battlefield might be more important to us than raising our children, or success in other fields. But he's telling dads, listen, your real achievement is raising your kids. And if you have these children that God has given to you and you do right by this gift that God has given you in trust, then when you face your enemies in the gate of the city, when you have to deal with adversaries, there will be no reason for you to be ashamed about anything because you have done right by your children. And he talks about them as arrows, and that is there's so much meaning in that imagery. And every year at the senior banquet, I quote this passage, and I say to the seniors, you are an arrow, and your parents, they're the archer, and so they have pulled back the bow, and they have given the bow aim and direction. But at some point, you let the arrow go, and the arrow flies, and the momentum and the direction have been greatly provided by the parent. But the parent at some point has to let go and let the arrow fly. And there it is. I mean, it's just there. There's just so much in this passage. Um, Solomon is a man of wisdom, unlike any other um, the world has ever seen. I mean, if all we had was this psalm, we would know that to be true about him. I mean, other than Jesus, who else can speak so wisely and so succinctly at the same time? Nobody. Um, anyway, well, that's Psalm 127. Next time we're together, we're going to talk about the sons of Korah a bit. We'll introduce Korah and what happened with him and who his children are. And they wrote several psalms. We'll look at those starting next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.